Generative AI, it's got the rage, but does it have the ROI? That's the question we're going to answer today. Welcome to another episode of News Dose, and I'm Ira, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about generative AI. AI is really all the buzz right now. It's really taken the world by storm. You can't go anywhere without hearing those two little letters, AI. And when you particularly go in my circles, it's all over the map. People love it, people hate it, people think it's taken over the world, people think it's there to augment what people are doing on the day-to-day basis. So we're going to unpack it a little bit. And when you look at AI is not a new topic. It's been around for quite a while, but in November 2022, when ChatGPT hit the scene, it really exploded in ideas and thoughts and the way people could use it. And I firmly believe it's because it became a little bit more obtainable, a little bit more realistic for people to use on a regular basis. It no longer was secluded to just maybe doing something on a machine with machine learning, which is an element of AI, or being in some large control system or large system that's chewing away at data, trying to give you outputs. It became available for really everybody to ask questions, to write children's stories, to look at lawyer documentation and everywhere in between. We've all heard the stories of ChatGPT. And this really ignited the interest and the desire and really showed that, oh, maybe this is a new set of picks and shovels for the next generation of where we're going in the world of business. And when you look at all this, there's just so much buzz, and the companies and people like have really taken on. Companies like Google and Microsoft and Apple have all hitched their wagons to this topic as we move forward. Companies like Nvidia have really built their earnings here recently in just the tremendous rise of data and AI and generative AI. It's amazing. And this has fueled a whole sub economy with the advancements of data centers and everything that comes along with them. But let's unpack generative AI a little bit. Now, if I've said that word a few times and you don't know what it is, let me give you a little bit of an explanation. I asked one of my favorite generative AI tools, Perplexity. Perplexity is just like a Google search engine, but it really implements some AI to read maybe that first page of results and to give you some summarized information and just kind of like a statement or a couple of statements. And let's see what it has to say about generative AI. It says that generative AI is a type of artificial intelligence technology capable of creating new content and ideas with various models, including text, images, audio, video, and other data types. And this is what it spit out, looking at all those different all those different results. If you haven't tried it out, definitely recommend it. Perplexity AI, not a sponsored a bit here or anything else, but it is a fantastic tool. And when you look at generative AI, one of the things that's very closely related to it is something called LLMs. Stands for large language model. And when you look at what an LLM is, it's really the idea of training and allowing the AI model to understand what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish, what you're trying to work within. When you look at something like ChatGPT, which probably many of us have heard of on a regular basis, this is an LLM. The LLM has been trained on a lot of information around the internet and these types of things. And this is where you get all the information that feeds that system. The cool thing, though, the thing that I think is absolutely amazing about LLMs is, yeah, sure, ChatGPT, it's great, gives you information. Is it good? Is it bad information? That's for you to decide and for you to really know. But the point is, an LLM, it can be trained. And what that means is sure, you can train it on the vast world of the internet, all the Reddit posts in the world. There's going to be good, and there's going to be not so good in there. But you can train it on the data that you know, the data that you have, the data that you're using on a regular basis as well. And from this, you can create your own generative AI model or AI model built on that LLM. And that I think is absolutely amazing. Personally, from a research perspective, as my day to day, I'm a marketing director. And one of the things I like to do is look at different industries, different customer personas, different ways of approaching the market. So what better way to read a bunch of reports, right? It doesn't give you everything, but it gives you a semblance of what's going on in the market. It would take me forever to read all the reports. And man, I would really have to keep my eyes open and drink a lot of coffee to get through them all. But throwing them into ChatGPT through an LLM and training that LLM on these different reports, I can query directly to those reports. I can ask questions to those reports. Is it foolproof? Absolutely not. You have to recognize what you're getting into, but it does provide a massive leg up, and it gives you a way to really have a conversation with documents and data that maybe you didn't have in the past. So it provides a huge opportunity to the way you're doing things. Now, it doesn't have to be just your custom pieces, of course. There's a reason ChatGPT has taken the world by storm. It is an awesome tool, and used in the right context, used as a tool, it can provide some valuable information for you. You just have to be careful with it once again. I went and I looked around and I said, oh, what are some of the real use cases, the things that are happening today with generative AI? And I came across a good report from a company called Forrester's. And in there, they listed off a number of different applications, a number of different use cases of where LLMs and generative AI is being used today. And let me give you an idea of what some of those are. So one of the first things it talked about was the idea of producing quality content at scale. So as a content creator, whether in marketing or you're doing it yourself or whatever it may be, you can take a single piece of content, you can feed it into something, and you can get that back out in different ways. If it's long form content, you can create short term content for it. If it's pictures, maybe you can get some text from it. If it's text, maybe you can create some pictures from it. And you can take a single piece of content and you can make it available to many different audiences and many different platforms. But that's not all. When I think of that, again, I come from both a technical and a business mind. From a business standpoint, what if I'm trying to support a sales team? And what if I want some email content? What if I want some PowerPoint content? What if I want some content to put on the website? Again, all of this can be used together and from a single piece to create all of these different scenarios. It's fantastic. From an overall manufacturing perspective, this becomes a little bit more difficult, but if you can model a data set, if you can model a machine, why couldn't you extrapolate that out over other machines? Tell it this is what good looks like, so you can understand in the future, this is what good looks like, and maybe you can make parameters to figure out how to make this machine work like that machine. Maybe a bit of a stretch, but still something that can happen in the future. Producing quality content at scale. So just like repurposing, you can scale it up. Another one is bolster data science practices and app development. Now, software development, app development has been one of the biggest use cases for generative AI that I've heard about on the public. And it's even been noted as it's putting the software engineers out of business. I don't think this is the case. There's a lot of skill. There's a lot of effort. There's a lot of personal touch that goes into software development. Me, myself, not a software developer myself, but I know lots. And I have went to school, and that was what I aspired to be above everything else, was actually to be a software developer. So I have written my fair share of code, although it's been a few years. And there is something about leveraging that code in your own way. Now, can you use ChatGPT and these other tools to help bring in the information? Absolutely. Just like people have used GitHub and Stack Overflow for years to get help on their coding. I see it being a very similar process, but you still need someone there to actually use that tool. It's not just there to do itself, at least not at this point. And I don't know that we'll really get there. I think we'll still have to create it. The data set augmentation, the data set development, that's another interesting use case. As I dove into this world, one of the things that came to mind was think about the finance industry, think about the healthcare industry, think about these very sensitive industries that have mass amounts of data, and they need to do correlations, they need to do analysis, they need to test models to figure out how their business is going, how their health patterns are going, how these different things are working. You can use real patient data, but that's a very sensitive topic. So the question is there a way to generate data that looks sensitive, looks real, but isn't? It is made up. It's generated. This is a perfect use case for generative AI, again, to make more realistic looking data from a model of a data set that you already have. So you can do your statistical analysis and everything else. I think it's a fantastic use case. And then one of the final use cases there was just really just creating content in general, being a research assistant. And I think this is also a great model. This is one of the ways that I use it the most, and I think it's a fantastic use case. Industries that are using it are really across the board. I mean, you can't see an industry anymore that's not using generative AI, and there's different methods, different models, different ways of using it. Finance is using it to look at the statistical analysis to figure out how people are going to work with their money, maybe how the stock market's going, maybe looking at those models that I talked about before, along with healthcare and those data sets and how we can model patient data, how we can model the use of our facilities. Looking at manufacturing, many of my audience would already know that you can use it on the factory floor. You can look at how it's working within manufacturing facilities and really help you model in that way. Looking at education, education is a fantastic tool. Maybe for those that don't have regular access to education, this can help augment. Or if you need further clarification on a particular topic, this is a great way to get more detailed information. Advertising, marketing, to really create that content, repurpose it. IT, look at anomalies, look at information that's flowing across your data wires. There's lots of opportunity to use generative AI. Now, all of this is there to say there is a lot of use cases. There's a lot of excitement. I spoke last time about the CEOs and what they're talking about. They're all talking about it. Why? Because there is massive ROI attached to this, at least in the general sense. Now, I will argue, though, that if you look at some of the recent reports, there is no clear financial ROI in the near term for generative AI and AI itself. It is ridiculously expensive to run even just a single query in ChatGPT. So where's the ROI? Well, I think this really comes down to you need to be investing in the idea, the philosophy, and the tools so you're ready to be able to utilize them in the next step. And I speak a lot about making sure you're ready as an organization from a data set perspective to take advantage of these new systems like AI, even and using things like IoT, Industry 4, to be able to get your data in a nice consolidated way so we can use this information for modeling in the future. So ROI on generative AI and AI itself may not be a one-to-one in terms of if I invest this, I get this many dollars back. But I do think if it's one of those scenarios where if you do not invest today, you may not have the opportunity to catch up tomorrow. And when you look at it, CNBC did a report when it looks at generative AI, and it really looked at what it takes. And a big thing that it related to was, are we really ready? So there is the generative AI and the cost perspective, but then there's just the overall infrastructure perspective. As more generative AI is used, we have to use more compute processing. A lot of that's done in data centers. Data centers are popping up across the world, and those are being used to do all these queries. This puts massive demands on the grid. This puts massive demands on water systems because we have to cool these processes. And when you look at cooling, one of the most efficient ways to cool it is directly to the chip. And as you do that more and more, and these processes become more sophisticated, it strains resources more than ever before. So these are all things to consider. These are all points that need to evolve over time to allow us to continue to take advantage of it. Now, I maintain that I think we're in a massive hype cycle when it comes to generative AI and AI as general. I think there is a lot of optimism about what is possible. I do think those things truly are possible. Are they possible in the next 1, 2, 3 years? I don't know. We need to get to that level. But I also believe that we need to be investing. You need to be sharpening your shovels, using tools maybe like Perplexity that I mentioned earlier on. If you haven't dove into ChatGPT, give it a whirl. Don't take with what it says as gospel, because it's not, right? You need to check it. You need to verify it. It's a trained model. It's giving you information on the information that it knows. It may be right. It may be wrong. It's a tool in your tool belt. Now, with all of this said, I'm curious. What are your thoughts? Is AI ready for prime time? Is it ready to just go away? Was it too much too fast? Am I off my rocker? And I should stop talking about these different topics. I don't know, but I'm curious what you have to say. So look forward to reading your comments below. Thanks. Have a great day and make it a good one.